On this episode of Don't Evolve Me, we get Jake in his epic voice.
This time on Don't Evolve Me, we convince you to go to the dark side. And no, we don't have cookies. Because we're evil. Why the fuck will we have cookies, motherfucker?
We got pancakes.
Fuck pancakes. We get waffles.
Ooh, this dark side sounds nice.
With raisins.
Are we supposed to be using our evil voice? I don't know what my evil voice sounds like.
We could do our emperor voice.
Oh, Batman.
Join me. Join the dark side.
Batman's on the dark side.
Use your anger. Give in to your hate, Donald.
Yes.
Strike me down and you'll be stronger than you ever was before.
It's turning me on.
Cue the music. Alright, welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash Ketchum's Pikachu. We don't evolve, we just level up. And in this episode, this is the state of review. Star Wars, the original trilogy. That's right, episode 4, 5, 6, and that's it. This, pretty much take up the whole episode.
Yeah, this should pretty much take up the whole episode. We gotta finish cleaning up from our cookie we just had, though, after that intro.
Yeah, a little bit.
We got stuff all over the place. It
became
an orgy in here, I swear.
Orgy? Who else joined?
Your Funko Pops.
Right. Oh.
They were looking at me kind of funny, like right now. Yeah. Okay, we should not look at them.
Which one?
All of them. Look at those little Pokemon looking at me. Charmander's right at me.
It's like don't say Grogu.
No, not the children. Don't do that here. We don't do that here.
No, look at the Pokemon. Yeah, bestiality's fine. Not the children.
Yeah,
all right, this was not the start.
If you can screw a bear, you can screw a bear. Crosses the line when you screw a child.
I think the bears also crossed that line.
The bear? I mean, if someone told you that they
No.
screwed a bear, would that not be impressive in a way? That'd be kind of impressive.
It would be impressive. I still have a lot of questions of that person.
I mean, I have a lot of questions too, but I'd be like,
okay, good.
I still owe you a high five for that. That's impressive.
I don't know if it's a high five moment. It's more of impressive, but why?
You just got to learn to enjoy life a little more,
Okay, we're way off track.
Anyway, off track.
I'm not really for bestiality.
No, me neither.
What's the word when it's two siblings get at it?
Incest?
Oh yeah, were we talking about incest today? Goddamn Star Wars.
Oh yeah, we are. I don't know if this is a planned incest. I'm gonna be honest.
I hope
then
it
they
wasn't
changed.
planned.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna change how this story goes," and you're like, "Oh."
All right, let's get into it. Show me your wares. Yeah, I already know you don't have any wares on. I'm not letting you lie on this show.
I was gonna say I was wearing a cool killer costume, and I was dressed as Scyther in Jake's little room because Scyther's like the Pokemon with the blades, and there's the swords.
And
for
that's
Star
how
Wars.
bestiality happened in this podcast, apparently.
And Jake said I can't lie, so yeah, I'm just wearing my work clothes.
I'm wearing Deadpool and Spider-Man.
Yeah, of course he wore it this time because last time I gave him crap for not wearing anything. It's fine. It's
not Star Wars.
Cookie crumbles.
It's not
Star Wars related.
So it doesn't work.
Yeah, but who actually has Star Wars clothes? Let's be honest.
I have a couple shirts.
I have like Mandalorian clothes because the Mandalorian was pretty cool.
Same thing.
But, yeah, maybe.
All right. What are you nerding out on? You got anything new?
New that I'm nerded out on from the last time?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Not that far.
Yeah, it really is not that far down, and I'm just sad that it's already midsummer. Birthday's passed.
Oh, it's past
you can see
midsummer.
it. Click it through. You can already see the daylight go away, and it's crazy. Like it's 8 o'clock, and it's like it's dark outside already. And then we're like, no, so sad. But what am I nerding out on? Is I'm reading a couple books, which I don't know if people know. Like, when I read books, I like really get into reading books again. So like,
what are you into?
My book reading has been like, boom. Oh man, I've read a ton lately.
Like what?
So my friend got me into them. Just books and some fun books that are not inspirational, but they're like real, based on a true story books.
What is the title of the book?
Oh, the title of the book. Gosh.
You're going very vague.
I don't know the title of the book. Something Adventure into the Wild, and then All of the Bright Things.
Okay.
Which I finished reading, and now I'm on to this other book. Let me just figure out what it's called really quick, because I don't pay attention to the title. I just read the books.
Read the book. I was going to call you out a little bit, because you're going like this, vague, like, oh yeah, I read a story. It was good. It was about a guy who did something. It's very inspirational and based on a true story. And I'm not going to tell you any details because I didn't actually read this book.
No, I've been reading I think I finished 6 books in the last month. You ever read The Huntress? That's a pretty good book too. But I read that a while ago.
I am a bad reader. Like, I read comic books, and I haven't even read comic books since March, really. But there was a period of time where I read a bunch of Stephen King books. Green Mile is probably one of my favorite. I also read Dan Brown. Angels and Demons was one of my favorites too. Da Vinci Code is a classic. A way better book than a movie.
Holding Up the Universe is my current book.
Oh, nice.
Other than the Wild Awakening is the other one. That's what it is. A Wild Awakening and Holding Up the Universe.
Nice. There's a ADHD book my therapist wanted me to read. So I might give that a try.
I mean, I'm all for books. People hate when I read books. So, like, I read a book and I'll read it like in 2 days, and it's been a problem. The problem is I'll read the whole book because I get into it.
That's a good problem.
Then I read the whole thing, and then I analyze the book, and I send the people the analyzation. They're like, "What the that what?" And then I compare it to people's lives.
You need to join a book club.
Yeah, I joined a book. If I joined a book club, I'd get kicked out the first week. They'd be like, "You read too much and you finished the book." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." Yeah, I did.
You need like the extreme book club. Right?
Yeah, I need an extreme book club. We'll read 1 book a week. Well, maybe meet once a month. Do 1 book a month. That'd be fun. Just to talk about the book and how people in their lives they've seen, like, and they actually input their lives in the book. Like, this reminds me of my grandma. My grandma used to do this, and that's how I kind of look at this character. So you can kind of build that characterization in your head. Oh my God, that's so fun.
When you think about this is kind of like our book club.
This is kind of like our book club. So we do it nerd stuff.
Yeah, we're watching movies, watching TV shows. Star
This is
Wars.
book club.
This is book club.
We do compare ourselves to the characters quite a bit. I don't think we've done that yet. But if Jake was a character, let's think about this for a second.
No, what Star Wars character would I be?
If you were a Star Wars character in the original trilogy?
Yeah, all of it.
All of it, over the whole universe.
Oh, well, yeah, whatever we've seen.
Jar Jar Binks.
That literally was going to say what I was going to say for you.
Yeah. No, but in reality, if Jake was a character in Star Wars. Finn?
I was thinking Finn.
Finn?
Yeah.
Good character? I think so.
Underutilized.
Underutilized a little bit. Kind of in the background.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always.
I could see myself as Anakin.
He does a lot of work, does a lot of things.
Not so much in the killing kid department, but more of like his strategy is usually be very aggressive up front, but also like have a plan in the background.
Yeah, I can see that too. I was gonna say Anakin.
So
Could work too. Finn or Anakin.
Yeah.
I think Finn's a good fit. Such a good person. Good overall structure.
You have a good Luke 5. I can be your father. You can call me daddy anytime.
I just called you daddy about 30 minutes ago. Remember that? That's how the quickie started.
All right. What am I nerding out on? Obviously, Star Wars. A lot of Star Wars the last 2 weeks. A lot of movies.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
watched all 3. I had to force myself to watch 2 of them last night and this morning. So I was expecting you to say, oh, yeah, tomorrow night. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, we better get this in. Yeah. No.
All right. Let's bunker down and let's do this. Zelda. I've just been on the Zelda train lately.
Oh, the Zelda.
And one last thing. I don't know if I'd say nerding out on, but kind of. I've been doing my TikTok reviews for all the Marvel movies.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a couple of those.
Yeah. So, if you guys want to check them out, don't evolve me on TikTok. Trying to keep up on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well, doing the shorts. It's hard to do one and then redo the others, and then Instagram kicked me out for like 2-3 days. Just wouldn't upload.
Huh.
So, really weird. All right. Let's get into a news quickie. It's time for a news to me quickie.
I still think you call it news to me. I'm still on that news to me train.
Yeah, no, it's a news quickie. All right, we don't have much.
Well, we did just have a quickie, so second quickie, let's go.
Second quickie. I don't have that stamina. All right, Gran Turismo is out by the time this comes out, and apparently it's okay. Read a review on it. It is Gran Turismo, the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, that's what I look like. It'd be like an okay. It's not something like, wow, I really need to see this movie.
I actually thought it was going to be a pretty decent film. I don't know if it was going to be like amazing, but I'm like, oh, this looks pretty decent.
I would have felt like it's an okay movie.
All right.
I mean, it's based on a true story, too.
Have you ever heard of Strange Planet, the comic web series?
No.
Well, it is a web comic that's often on Facebook, Twitter. Actually, I don't know if it's on Twitter, but I know it's on Facebook, or I guess X now. Your former employer is doing some interesting things with former Twitter.
Yep.
It's so weird. Like, welcome to X.
It's going to be the everything app. So it's supposed to be eventually.
Okay.
Banking, all that kind of stuff through one app. And
I have so much more I would want to say, but I don't want to put you in that spot. All right, Strange Planet is out, and it looks to be pretty decent. Apparently, I didn't know this, but Dan Harmon, the guy who does Rick and Morty in Community, is helping out with Strange Planet.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
Okay. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome.
All right, last one. I don't know if you saw this, but Pokemon released new Pokemon. Paradox Pokemon is what they called.
What? I didn't see this.
They released a old one and a new one. And one of the old ones is Raikou.
Really?
Yeah, he looks like a giant giraffe. You should look up the picture.
Raikou Pokemon.
And then Cobalion, who's like a futuristic
What about that
robot.
weird apple-looking Pokemon?
Oh, yeah, the new weird apple. I mean, I forget what his name is. Yeah, I didn't think much of him. And that is the news.
What the heck? They made him into the other thingy thing.
Giraffe rig?
Yeah, they made him, like, if you think about, what's that? I mean, it looks like a giraffe for sure, 100%. It's 100% just a giraffe.
Look up Waking Water.
What?
Waking Water.
Waking Water?
Yep.
Pokemon? Well, that's like Suicune.
Yeah. That's an old one that came out. I actually really like Suicune's Paradox form, Waking Waters. It's pretty good. All right, moving on.
This is going like prehistoric times. Cool. Anyway, yeah.
I want to give a fresh take. Fresh take?
Fresh take?
Want to be really quick.
Fresh takes?
One of the movies I watched is Us and Get Out. Have you watched those two? I'm assuming.
Us, Get Out. I've seen Us. What's Us?
Us? Jordan Peele's horror film. Get Out, Us, and Nope.
Oh, I haven't seen Us yet. Nope. Haven't seen Us.
Us.
But I seen Get Out.
Pretty good movie. When I first watched it, I was really confused and I was kind of down on it, but now rewatching it, I'm like, oh, it's a 4- for me. It's a borderline great film. Everything else is a 4. Like his movie Get Out is probably a 5. Nope is like a 4+. Nope is a really interesting take on Hollywood on top of the fact that it's a sci-fi alien film, but not the way you think it is. So, I'd say check it out. I want to go more into it, but you haven't watched it, so there's not much to discuss. Plus, we got Star Wars. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get it. Well, yeah, it's 3 movies, man. We got to get into this.
3 movies in a season? No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, 3 movies in a season.
There's lots of seasons.
Yeah, there's tons of seasons of Star Wars of different alleys and avenues.
All right, Star Wars.
Episode 4.
A New Hope. Or just originally, Star Wars.
Yeah, the original Star Wars from 1977.
How did we do this last? Did we go rating first or did we go rating last?
Man, I don't even remember.
I think we went rating first, right?
I think we did last. I think we went last. For sure we went last.
You think we went last?
Yeah. Because we talked about how like we wanted to rate, we rated the first movie's crappy. Got the last movie at the end. We're like, that was like a...
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So, New Hope.
A lot of people loves this one. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to love this one. This is one of those films that I think is just nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's straight up nostalgia. This is Star Wars, intro Star Wars. This film, from a film history standpoint, really is like groundbreaking.
Before its time.
Before its time. It's a groundbreaking sci-fi action film that is kind of was supposed to be its own thing. It wrapped up. It wasn't planned to be the part of this trilogy, and it really feels that way. And it's kind of a negative, but also a positive that it wraps its own story.
Yep.
So, opening scene, I think is pretty iconic because it's about the ship taking over the other ship. And the movie that I watched, I don't know what version you watched. I watched it with like the new effects.
Yeah, I watched the new effects. It's free on Disney Plus, and I don't own on DVD or back in the day versions.
Yeah, I don't own any, so I'm curious how it looked in the old days with the new. I will say with all of these films with the new special effects, sometimes it's just really out of place.
Yes,
like some of the scenes, it's like, oh wow, okay, these. I don't know if it does it justice. Because I forget exactly when they did the...
Yeah, sometimes it definitely,
But it does bring out, it connects the lore of other...
It does.
...projects. But I don't know if it's the greatest. Anyway, opening scene I think is iconic. Ship comes down, Empire's in, and immediately you get these stormtrooper-looking things.
Oh, yeah, you can sense the bat, Let's talk about, first off, how they open that movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's... Title crawl?
The whole title roll. This is when the title roll started of Star Wars. The starting Star Wars title roll started. They gave people kind of a synopsis, quick little synopsis of the background, what this environment is.
I do really love that all three of these films kind of have the same outline, the same mold, which is title crawl. Hey, we're going to give you all this background information that you need to know for this film. And boom, action.
You're in it. Yeah, you're in it. That's what I love. It's nice. You're in it. Right? It was a new concept, too, back in the 77, when this came out. So. Yeah. The title scroll, boom, you're in the movie.
And the practical set looks great, for especially in the 70s.
Yeah, for the 70s, it's pretty practically well done.
And then Vader just enters, and he's like...
You can tell, the villainous of Vader already, and you're like, mm.
Damn, I don't want to mess with this dude. He's tall.
He's tall.
Breathing. Is he real? I don't know. It's pretty iconic. I will say, one thing that I noticed, because I wrote this on here, it's really weird how this story follows the droids more than does the human characters.
That's very true.
Because, it enters, Leia runs off with R2-D2 and C-3PO, where did you go? Doing the C-3PO panicking. He has a lot of anxiety for being a robot.
Yeah. These robots are real in this universe.
And then, I keep thinking about Family Guy's version of Star Wars and all the jokes they make. Because there's so much things that just, if you want to nitpick at, because, the droids go out and there's not any life forms. And I just remember Family Guy, are you sure? You sure there's no life forms? Why don't we just shoot anyway? Are we saving lasers these days?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not shoot it? Turns out to be the droids they were looking for all along, So then, droids goes to the Jawas. They get captured by the Jawas. And then that's where introduction Luke comes into the film.
Yep.
And Luke's character is interesting to me. I never really bought, and I'm trying not to slander Luke here, but I never really bought Luke Skywalker as a real great hero. He kind of just fell into...
Yeah, he kind of dumb.
A little bit. I mean, especially in the first film, but he kind of just fell into... his destiny. His destiny was set up, but he kind of just fell into it. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, they bought the droids. Oh, they happen to be looking for these droids. And then out of nowhere, the droid runs off trying to find Obi-Wan. And he runs after it, and then boom, Obi-Wan shows up.
Yeah.
And I want to say with the scene with the Tuskens, the Sand People, was really interesting. One, Luke gets his ass kicked a lot in this trilogy.
Yes, he does.
And I do appreciate it, but there's also a lot of times where he does pull off a Mary Sue aspect of it. And I don't like calling characters Mary Sue because I feel like it's more that term is more trying to take away from a character, usually female characters. But there's a lot of times that Luke just kind of jumps into a situation and he just wins, and it's I don't feel like he should.
Not yet, anyway.
Situation.
Not yet.
And we'll get into it because this movie is very much that for Luke.
It is a very straightforward movie, but again, we're talking about 77 here. So.
Yeah, it's a very straight movie. It doesn't build up a whole lot of lore, but it is.
It sets up what sets up the rest of the lore. I mean, that's what it does.
The prequels, it's both are Shakespearean in a way.
Yep.
But the prequels was definitely we're going to bring up the lore, and then the traditional trilogy is like, nah, we're just getting into the action while we'll explain the lore on the way. And there's sometimes in these trilogies where there's like an info dump, especially like one part in episode 3 that's just, no, not episode 3, episode 6, that is just really bad. We'll get into that. So yeah. Obi-Wan appears. It feels like he just conveniently shows up, and his little like his little noises to scare off the sand people is like weird because you don't see that anywhere else.
Yeah, it never ever happens ever again.
Doesn't show any of that ability. I'm like, dude, this guy looks like a fucking wizard. He's like Gandalf hanging out in the
Doesn't
desert.
he? That's exactly what I thought. Like, you got to think too. Like now, if you're watching some of the Star Wars series that come out with, like, how did he get from that to that in 10 years?
Like, the Obi-Wan series did not show us how he learned that move with his lips. How
yeah,
did
that
he
didn't
do
make
that?
any sense. Even they did a little like Obi-Wan. That's why I wasn't sure how some of the stuff was written backwards.
Just gives out the old wizard vibe, which works. I like it.
I like it. I allow it. I like that Obi-Wan.
I will say, like, at first Luke was kind of like standoffish on Obi-Wan and the whole idea of like the Jedi and stuff.
Yep.
And then like he finds out that his Ben in Peru, Luke, oh Luke. It's such an iconic line. I can hear her voice in my head.
Yeah, when you say it doesn't sound anything like it, but I heard it.
Okay, cool.
You know what I mean?
I tried my best.
Voice is terrible, but like you hear that scene, and you could I could.
You can picture it.
You can picture the Luke.
I will say, when his family dies, he gives no fucks for his family whatsoever. He's like, no, okay, let's go on our space adventure.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that part.
Also, Obi-Wan gives like no fucks either. He knew Owen. He knew these people because he watched from a distance. No fucks given. Like, oh, cool. They're not a problem anymore. All right, Luke, come on. Let's get you to join the space cult called the Jedi.
The Jedi. I was a Jedi Master. So even when he said he was a Jedi Master.
Like, this movie, taken out of context, is really bad. Like, if you look at Jedi as a view of a cult, and Obi-Wan as like a view of like a cult leader.
Yes.
He basically just like, oh, hey, the government burned down the boys.
The government was terrible for our cult. Here, come join my cult so we can take it back.
Let me tell you all about your special powers that you have, Luke.
Yeah. A little creepy.
Just a little bit, which, again, Family Guy just nails the head. It's making sense now. All right. So they go with the Moss.
Yes, Family Guy did a really good parody of this.
If
you haven't seen it, please, for the love of God, watch that.
I did not watch Family Guy beforehand. I used to have the DVD, and I really should just rewatch it now because
I kind of want to watch it now. That should be our next review. We should put a Family Guy one in there just to see how good they did.
Fresh takes on Family Guy. Just make a
Family Guy Star Wars. Here we go.
But I will say, they go to Mos Eisley, and this is like one of the most like iconic scenes ever, especially the cantina, and they walk into it. Dun, dun, dun,
I will say, if you take it, if you didn't
dun,
think
dun,
that
dun.
Jedi perspective, first of all, like it kind of makes sense. Like, hey, these people are here to do some bad stuff. So then they do some bad stuff, but I'll like quickly how like that death is like meh. It's the 70s, you know. You don't want to show a death on screen too much and.
Yeah, I will say emotion. Like the Jedi in like the original films had no qualms of killing.
Yep. And
not like they went out of their way to kill, but like if it went against their goals, like in the scene, the Mos Eisley scene, like Ben Kenobi was quick to throw out his lightsaber and chop off some hands, right?
Yep.
Or did he kill the guy?
Yeah, we don't know technically.
Yeah, technically, I feel like it was played off that he killed. I actually completely forget that scene.
But yeah, it's a good thing to point out that it was like a no holds barred, but it's a whole nother galaxy too. But anyway.
And then
They enter.
Han Solo, the man who shot first.
The myth himself.
I love that scene. The fact, like the scene that he shoots first, I actually really like that for Han Solo because it shows like how dangerous he is.
Yep.
He's cool and dangerous.
You get that vibe too, and I think if you're thinking back at a kid in the 70s, you see some guy being like that cool, you're like, I'm in.
Harrison Ford, there's so many times during this trilogy where Harrison Ford will just do something cool, and I'm like, God damn, he's like...
Yeah, he takes the movie. I mean, that's why they created a whole little weird shindig off of how well he played that character.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on Solo now after watching this, because there's a lot of the different moments
in
the trilogy. I was like, I know what happened there. I know the story.
Yep.
And it's like one of those, like when you actually watch the movie, it's like, wait, why the fuck am I getting the backstory for this? But then you watch the original trilogy, it's like, you know what? I actually like knowing what happens here. I like knowing their little callbacks that they have, which is actually really good writing on their part. I will say, because they do, like, the characters interact, like especially the ones who have history. They don't overly share that history. They just go nods, a little bit of references here and there. Mm-hmm. And we just pick up that information and put the pieces together that way. And I really like that type of storytelling. And Star Wars, at least the original trilogy, does a really good job of that.
Yes.
All right.
But this guy.
I will say, look at my notes. The buy-in from Luke is kind of hard to believe almost.
Yes. That'd be tough.
Like, you know, hey, your whole existence, like, he wants to go, at first he wanted to be part of the Empire.
Yep.
Like, he wanted to
His
fight.
whole first mission was to be part of it and build these ships.
Mm-hmm.
That was his mission.
And then his family died, and he was like, oh, I want to be part of the, like, this is just the boy who's dying for action at this point.
Yeah.
His family dies, he's just like, oh,
well,
no.
first,
okay.
Yeah, even when he meets Ben Kenobi, how is he not more questioning of like of the badness of Ben Kenobi? But instead, when he first meets him, he's like, I kind of want to go with this Ben Kenobi guy. He's like, yeah, but you want to become part of the, but yeah. There's a little contradiction, but you know, it's story writing, whatever.
Yeah,
You can't get all the pieces and the particles in one movie. Sometimes.
Yeah, like it's one of those. Yeah, it's older, you know.
Yep.
It's one of those things that's forgiven. Now I'm gonna say, the whole added like Jabba scene, I don't know how I feel about it, because I like the little bit of Jabba that's in there, but at the same time I'm like, this just looks out of place.
Yes,
CGI Jabba in the background of that's like practical. It's like I mean,
it does make sense that he would be there, but also like it's interesting.
Agreed. So anyway, they hire Han. They go on the space adventure. Leia is back on the Death Star. Vader is trying to get information, is threatening. And I thought it was weird because like they blew up her planet. Like that's devastating.
Yes.
And she's like, she has a reaction, but it's not like a very strong reaction. Like I feel like if your whole world is destroyed in a blink of an eye, I feel like you just would be tragic. Think Walter White Breaking Bad when Hank got shot. Spoilers.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, I'm so sorry.
I'm not sorry. You should have seen it already.
Yeah, you mean I'm not? Yeah, I guess I'm not sorry. But anyway, yeah.
Like that's that's what I think of like the devastation. It's not there. Again, we're nitpicking at this movie, but like it's very she's fine, and later in this movie she's fine. But it's just like when you try to like when you're an empath like me, and you're like that doesn't match up.
Yeah, how did they not feel worse? But yeah, I mean overall, like again, we're trying nitpicking it, but we're trying to keep the clean story, I think.
But I also would say like the Death Star scene is so like I feel like them blowing it up isn't felt as much as it should have been. I think Force Awakens, when everyone dies and they like you see the people seeing their gloom and they're all like, you know, like it's felt a little bit.
Yeah.
And that movie has its own faults, and I feel like they could have made that whole scene a lot better and a lot more devastating. But there was like I felt nothing for Alderaan when I first watched this film. Now I feel a little bit of something because I know who's in Alderaan. I know what characters are there. We've seen that world through the Obi-Wan show. But it's like when you first watch, it's like, oh, okay, Alderaan's dead. Let's get this show on the road. That's what I'm saying.
That's why I didn't show the emotion, I think. Timing. Just trying to sell one story right now.
So they go to they're trying to go to Alderaan. They get sucked up into what they thought is a moon, and they get sucked in.
Yep.
And I think this is just an epic thing where it's like, oh damn, our character's going to the Death Star. Like it's like, oh, you know.
Yep.
So they have to do their thing. They're in the tractor beam. They have to get out of the tractor beam. Obi-Wan does this thing. Now, like watching the scene, seeing Obi-Wan doing it, like, oh man, the old man's getting back into it. This just seems like what Obi-Wan would do in like the prequels.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh, this is classic Obi-Wan. I really like that aspect of it because he kind of just like is dicking around like an old man. And then, you know, Han and Luke and Chewie, they're trying to figure out what to do. And they're like, oh, hey, there's a princess here. We got to save her. Luke's like, we got to save the princess.
Of course.
Oh,
the classic save princess story. Yep.
Oh, and Luke training, I wanted to mention before they got like caught up in the Death Star, they were practicing with the little thing, and Han's like, "Oh, this is stupid space magic," and Luke's just trying, like, just defending it. You don't really believe in the Force, do you? Like, no shit, he doesn't believe in the Force.
Yeah, no.
Like, if he's never seen it before, of course he's not going to believe in the Force.
Yeah, the fact that Luke at this point was already like heavy. Again, that's nitpicking the film.
You don't believe in the Force, do you? He's like, oh, you just joined this old man, now you're all
You
in.
just joined this entire cult, and then you just joined the Force, and you believe in it that fully. Dang.
Also, the fact that, like, we never seen Luke, like, actually do anything Force related is jarring now when we watch it back.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm nitpicking a film. There's a lot of things to nitpick here, but, like,
it's a good film.
It's a good film. It's an older film.
Don't get us wrong here. I think it's a good classic, good starting film to give a story and base the whole world off of. It's that good of a film. But
there's a lot of things to nitpick here.
That's why I think there's a lot of people that hate Star Wars for the very same reason. They're so nitpicky.
Yeah, there was my friend Brandon. He's like, Star Wars is shit, right? I'm like, you know what? Shut the fuck up. It's good.
Yeah,
like,
it's good.
Like, we don't love it because it's great. We love it because the lore is fucking awesome.
To build, it's a whole new world. It's an experience.
We don't love the fact that it's not the movies that get us in. It's not the quality of films. It's not because, like, these films are all like fives and amazing films. It's because the lore is freaking interesting, and the first movie just did something crazy.
It's a whole new world to escape to and have a little fun in, Imagine yourself in this world.
Yeah, and it's a fun world. It's an easy world to get into. Star Trek is a little bit more nuanced, but those who are in it, they love it. Star Wars is a little bit more simple for the casual fans.
Yep.
Which now they're getting a little bit more nuanced, but not too much. I wish they get a little bit more.
But that makes sense. So,
all right, so they're
getting sucked into the ship.
They're in the ship. Obi-Wan's trying to get him free. Luke convinces Han to go on a fun adventure to save the princess, because of course Luke wants to save the princess. Seems like something Luke would do. He's very, like, has this hero, like, grandeur of being a hero.
Some grandeur being a hero, but also, like, he's a piece of boy. Let's save the princess.
I really like Harrison Ford in the scene when he's in the prison unit, and they're like, "What's going on there?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. How are you?" Like, I just love that scene. Like, I just love that phrase with him, and I'm pretty sure that's an ad-lib moment on Harrison Ford. But I just really enjoy that scene. And then it just goes to shit, and he's like, "Who is this? What is your code number?" Boring conversation anyway. And then you go to save the princess. I will say this, though. Sexy Princess is so fucking weird to, like, witness. Especially when she's, like, doing it to Luke, knowing that they're siblings. And I know in this film that's not how it's, like, meant to be, but it's so weird to, like, see.
Yep.
You know what the scene I'm talking about, when he enters the prison thing, and she's just, like, she's not just laying down. She's not just being a normal human. She's, like, in a sexy pose. And he's just, like, taken back, and you see it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's your sister you're staring at.
Yeah, a little bit weird.
All the thoughts in your head.
That's what I said. I don't think they decided to write this whole story scope in.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
This was definitely an ad-lib thing, and they're like, oh, we probably should have fixed that. Mm-hmm.
But I will say Leia's a freaking badass. She's actually, like, one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, she is amazing.
Because she's just, like, a badass. She knows.
She knows a lot. She comes off as very smart and very knowing.
And I can't see Luke and Leia being twins.
No.
Because Leia's so much more mature. Like, Luke, they're the same exact age because they're twins. Luke is just, like, this naive little boy who's like, oh, hey, I'm going to be a hero now. Like, it seems like every type of, like, American hero, that are boys that turn into these heroes. And Leia's just like, yeah, no, I've been in this shit for, like, the last 15 years now, since I've been 5. I was kidnapped when I was 6. Like, I've been in this shit. Let's get going. All right, you're rescuing me? All right, let's go. Like, we got a mission we got to complete. And then you got the garbage chute.
Yeah.
Which is, like, a fun little tidbit, but I feel like it was also kind of unnecessary.
It was just an adder to the movie, almost. Yeah. If you ask me.
It adds to the lore. It adds to, like, the little thing. That's one thing I do like. They have so many little extra tidbits that add to the lore of the Star Wars universe, but you're just kind of like...
It's kind of a tidbit. That's what happens with it. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Narratively, like, you could have cut that out easily. It wouldn't change the film at all.
Yeah, but I'm like, it does add to the lore. You're right.
It's kind of nice. It
definitely does. It kind of adds, like, how does stuff get done.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tip that and then they keep going.
So then they're trying to escape. They go on the ship. Obi-Wan interferes with Vader. And I'm just gonna say this now: this lightsaber battle sucks.
This is the worst lightsaber battle of all time.
Yeah, I think it might be the worst lightsaber battle of.
Think about it. Yeah, it's the worst.
It is.
But it was the very first lightsaber battle we've ever seen in the life.
I think of like Rogue One, Darth Vader Rogue One, where he's just like mowing down people, just being a fucking badass. But in this scene, he's just like, zoom, zoom, zoom. If you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than ever. He's just gone, and he's like kicking the ropes, like, where'd you go? Like, there's not even a dead body. You're just gone. Disappeared.
Forever. No more.
And that's the only lightsaber battle we get in this movie. That's okay.
Yeah.
All
but,
right.
I mean, if you think, like, the screen time of Vader in this movie is only, like, 4 minutes or 5 minutes, not even.
Yeah. We'll get into it,
Crazy low.
They move on. They escape. They go into their battle on Yavin 4. I believe that's the planet, Yavin 4. They have the rebel base there.
Yep.
And they realize the Death Star, they were tracked, and they have to take out the Death Star before they're taken out. And the race is on. They have the plans. They know where it is. It's one little shot into it. I think of Rogue One this entire time. Like, aha, Rogue One. That's how they got the plans. And that's why I love some of these offshoot movies, because, like, aha, I know what happened here.
Yeah, you know how the details to get to where they got.
It's not it's unnecessary, but it's also just nice to like have that story.
Yeah, it's like the lore building, right?
Yeah.
Adding like, how did they just have the plans there? It's like probably one of the questions, like they just had the plans. What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that. I feel like how powerful that is to be almost impossible to get. Then you realize watching Rogue One how they got it, which we'll get to those side ones next, right?
Part 4. It's either part 3 or part 4. I think we're gonna do part 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do part 4.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah,
do part 3.
We'll talk about that kind of stuff. But yeah. The plans, and then here's their goal, massive plan that they're going to do now.
We also have Ahsoka too. So
down the greatest warship ever created.
Yeah, and so they plan out, and Luke joins them. And Luke joining them is just like they don't win without Luke. But the fact is, like, was he ever a pilot?
I don't know why it's such a good 70s movie, right?
This is where like the Mary Sue action is. Like, wait, does Luke have piloting skills?
Luke doesn't know anything about the Force, really. We've seen him try to use the lightsaber and practicing in the ship.
Yeah.
He wasn't driving anything, and all of a sudden he's like,
I'm a pilot now. And like
I can fly anything. I mean, he knows technology. He was always a techie, so maybe he knew how to do it. I mean, there's some possibility, but it seems almost too unbelievable how good he was.
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, in his childhood, he's flown other things. It's just, like, there's, like, no reference to him. He's like, oh, I'm a pilot.
Not to a warship.
And he's, like, the pilot that kills him.
Yep.
But I will say that, like, for the 1970s, like, this movie came out in 1977, and this spaceship scene is, like, the battle is actually pretty dope.
Yeah, it's pretty well done.
The spaceship scenes, for the lack of technology they have, is actually one of the best parts of these films.
Yep.
And so it's exciting. And then he's running like I can't think of the name. It's not turrets. Like the little divots in the space Death Star. You're blanking too.
Yeah, blanking.
Anyway, like the trenches of the Death Star. They're flying through the trenches.
Yep.
And it's just exciting because it's like, there's the space part. You know it's going to blow up, but it's like interesting because it's so inconceivable. And then, he's about to do his shot. Use the Force, Luke.
From Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, I guess I won't use this, the scope of the gun that I'm using on the spaceship.
Well, as soon as there's malfunctioning, right? And he's like,
right.
It started malfunctioning, and then he heard the voice of Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi from the great beyond, because he just disappeared into somewhere no one ever really actually knows what happened.
Yep.
And he's like, use the Force, Luke.
And his dad was going to kill him right there and then. And then out of nowhere, Han Solo saves the day. Is he the true hero?
Han Solo?
Yeah.
Han Solo's the MVP.
Ooh, we got to get to that talk. Well, we'll do that after the ratings. But yeah, Luke does the thing, blows up the Death Star. Yay, they all get medals at the end.
They all,
which
is also weird that they get medals, because it's not like this whole little, like, we got to take down the Empire. They didn't actually take down the Empire. They took down one ship.
Well, I mean, it was a pretty big ship.
It was the biggest ship. But, like, you think if something happens like that, I mean, that's why you get the next movie, I guess, but...
Yeah. I will say too before they got on, the Luke and Han conflict is really really odd. Because Han's like, oh, you got your, or Luke goes to Han, oh, you have your package, you got your rewards, and you're just going to leave now? Okay. It's like, dude, you just joined this rebellion today. You just joined the rebellion.
Yep.
Why are you giving shit to the mercenary you hired?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like,
You hired him as a mercenary, too. That's what's funny.
He's so, like, naive. He's like one of those heroes that just kind of lucks into the situation.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't think about it.
He's a hard hero to, like, believe.
I think if a lot of people, someone says they love Luke Skywalker, he's a very hard hero to believe. I would have rather it's the 70s, 80s. Leia was a better hero.
I like Luke Skywalker, but in this first film, it's like he grows into the role. He becomes the legend that is Luke Skywalker, especially when you get into The Mandalorian season 2 finale. Like, goddamn, like that is the myth. That is the legend.
That is the one you're thinking of when you think of this story of being even possible. That's the Luke you're imagine in your head. That's why it was so cool to see that. But that's going forward. But as far as the story when it first built, I don't know, the 70s, 80s, I think Leia would have been a really cool, if they want to remake a female lead character, Leia to show her more prowess would be a great movie somewhere.
Leia would be. I just don't know how they would do it. That would
I don't know how they do it either, but you got to imagine, that would be, because the amount of work that Leia put into these, if you think about it, she had to do a ton to get to where they were at.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Her build-up is huge.
Let's
talk
about it. All right, rating. What do you give this movie? Should I go first? Do you want me to go first?
I give it, I don't think, you're talking about Star Wars movies aren't great, but I give it a 3+.
Okay, we're close.
For what it is.
We're close. I give it a 4-.
Okay.
I think the minus, I think we mean you're in the same stretch when you say 3+.
Yeah.
And I think 3+ is very fair. I think I have to give it a great score simply for the fact that it is a groundbreaking film.
Yeah, it is.
For this time. And it's supposed to be a one-off film. And I think if you judge it on those terms alone, it's a 4. And I think if you judge it all together, I have to give it a 4-.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
This movie aged pretty badly. If you take away the nostalgia, if you take away the fact that it's from 1977, you judge it based on the movie standards now, it aged kind of poorly. The effects still look pretty good, except for the new effects that George Lucas put in.
Yep.
But some of the rating stuff and some of the pacing, it's exciting for the time. But it's one of those films. It's you have great memories of it, but when you actually rewatch it, you're like, oh, this movie's not as good as I remember.
Yep.
Some people here are going to call it a 5. It's an elite film. No, this movie has a lot of problems.
It has a lot of holes in it. Almost every Star Wars story does. Like I said, it's about the world they build.
But Star Wars makes up for it in the next film, which we'll talk about. Not yet, though. MVP. Who do you got?
Han Solo.
I think it's still Luke.
Because he blew up the Death Star? Han Solo's our voice of reason throughout this movie to try to bring some stuff back down to earth. And
how did we grade is it the best character in the film? Is that the MVP? Or the character that does the best things? Or should we have two different awards for this?
Nah, I think it's the character that plays a good part that gives us the best story. And Han Solo kind of gives the good story to this film.
That's fair.
He's the most best added character that brought this crew together. Was, questioning things we would question as an audience. He was our lead role for us.
A little bit, yeah. He was he was kind of like the straight man almost.
Yep.
He was the cool straight man. He was a weird Luke is the straight man in this whole thing, but Luke isn't the straight man where he's questioning everything. It's Han. Luke's the straight man that's oh, sure, I'll trust this old man after my parents
Luke's
died.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear. And then Han Solo's
make me a Jedi Knight.
Why?
All right.
I love it.
MVP Han Solo, we'll agree with that. 4-, 3+ for you.
Yep.
All right.
Good film. I'm a harsh film rater, though, so.
Yeah, some of them you're pretty harsh on. Almost harsher than I am.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
Dum, 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 dum.
I was excited for this film. I have a lot of things to say about this film. One, it starts out hot.
Yep. Starts off with all action, too.
Starts out hot. on a cold planet.
Yep.
I forget how quick this movie just gets into the action. You get the opening title crawl that I'll be honest, I forgot to read.
Yeah.
And it just got into it. And I just want to talk. I wrote a lot, and I kind of have the same. I wrote the same thing because it happens so much. Starts out with Hoth. Luke gets his ass kicked by a Yeti.
Oh, yeah.
Called the Wampas. Like, immediately. Like, he's out in the cold. And like, oh, hey. Like, Luke looks like he's a little bit older. He's 2 years older. 2 or 3 years older in this film.
Yep.
He's a lot more mature. He's doing, like, what you think a Jedi Knight would be doing in this situation. He's out. He's like, oh.
Surviving.
Hey, there's an asteroid. I'm going to check it out. Which is a very important asteroid to check out. No, he gets his ass kicked by a Wampa.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately. This is where it feels like it's very Shakespearean. Because they're like, here's all the information you got to know. And scene.
And then
they begin and boom.
Kicked.
Luke gets his way out, which I really like that they... I have a theme in here, and this Luke gets his ass beat. But I love that he has to work his way out of all this, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Because he gets his ass kicked by Wampa, then immediately has to get out of it, and it's cool to see him just chop off Wampa's arm. I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
Chopped off his arm.
like these Jedi, I just think it's funny. Like, man, these Jedi kill a lot of people in these films.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do. Yeah, I mean, it's a different culture, different world.
These are good guys.
It's like he's a good guy though, but yeah.
Let's see a mass murder things.
Starts off really well. This movie does.
He's Anakin's son for sure. And
yeah.
Just don't put any children in front of him.
Yeah.
We all know what happened with the Jedi Temple.
Yep.
All right, Luke escapes, but he gets his ass kicked by the cold.
Yes.
Sees Obi-Wan, Space Ghost, telling him, go to the Dagobah system. Learn from Yoda. He'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, like, who the this guy?
I was like, everyone's like, oh, cool, Obi-Wan's back. He's a Space Ghost. It's Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's Obi-Wan. He died in the last movie or turned into whatever he did.
Did he die? I don't even know if he died. He just, like, disappeared.
He just decided, F this, I'm out. Yeah, nice.
Han being part of the rebellion, I thought was really cool. Like,
yep.
It's definitely like it's a very 3-year window for him where he's like part of the rebellion, then he, is still his mercenary self. Looks out for Luke this time, saves his ass again.
Yep.
Second time now. First time he saved his ass during Death
Star battle.
Yep.
Now again,
he's saving his ass from the cold. Tauntaun scene I actually really, really like how they cut open and they were like staying warm in the Tauntaun.
Yep.
It feels like it would be out of place for Star Wars, but I'm like, I really just like the survival aspect and just to show
still real. It shows that the world is still realistic enough,
and just showing how hostile this planet is.
Yep.
Darth Vader, which this is Darth Vader's movie. This is like him coming out. You were complaining that he only had like 4 minutes of screen time in the first one. I don't know what actually he had, but it's pretty close to the 4 minutes.
Yep.
He was in this film a lot. Like, this was Vader's film, and this is one of the reasons why this film's amazing.
Yep.
So he goes, he's like, he's there. I know he's there. Boom, space battle. Hoth battle, ice battle. And this was so iconic.
Yes, this battle's amazing.
This battle just starts off, and it looks, for the most part, pretty good. There was, like, the one blow-up scene where you can tell that they were just doing a miniature. They blew up a little miniature AT-AT.
Yep.
Is it AT-AT or is it AT?
AT.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's AT-ATs, right?
AT-ATs, yeah.
That's what I remember. But I know some people are like, oh, yeah, those AT-ATs. I'm like, what the fuck are you
Well, they're AT-ATs.
I'm like, I like that better.
They're ATs because there's two ATs.
But it's AT-ATs.
AT-AT, which is ATs. Get it?
And Luke doesn't actually get his ass kicked in this battle. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, he held his own somehow, because this is the one he can hold his own on, which that makes a lot of sense. But
it was really cool to see, because like he's, again, great pilot. Don't know how. Great pilot, does a little...
Dad was a great pilot, okay?
And
it's in his blood.
Huh? Who?
It's in his blood.
Well, yes, it is.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the explanation, but I don't think it works. Anyway.
Yeah.
I will say, I also really like this level in Battlefront. Not the new Battlefronts, but the old Battlefront.
Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah. Like, this, Hoth was my favorite planet to go on, because either side, when your Empire, like the Rebellion, those AT-ATs trying to take them down or try to, like, drive with them to take out the rebels, like, it's just fun. So maybe that's why I really like the scene, but I just enjoy it. I actually forget that Darth Vader invades their base and actually has seen him walking through the base. I don't know why that's cool. I'm just like, oh yeah, he was in there. Anyway, they realize they have to escape. They have to run away from the Empire because they're being overrun. Leia kisses Luke.
Yep.
Like, long kisses Luke. And it's just fucking weird. So much incest. Like, I'm glad they didn't go any further into that, and it's just a kiss because it's pretty harmless. But it's just like, oh yeah, that's the kiss scene I remember. Or like, we didn't even mention the hug scene, the hug and whip around scene where he's like, oh hey, I'm carrying the princess.
Yeah. The weird. Like, looking back at this, that was definitely a weird scope. It's Game of Thrones vibey, but yeah.
So they take off. Luke takes off. Han and Leia take off in the Millennium Falcon. And they go on their side adventures. And we talked about in Attack of the Clones how they had their own side adventures, but I feel like this side adventures actually
made sense.
Yeah. Luke has to train to be a Jedi, which makes sense. And Han and Leia, they're trying to escape the Empire, which Vader is like, give me that ship.
Yep.
So,
it made sense that they would split up because Luke needs more training because obviously he got his ass kicked.
So he goes to the Dagobah system, gets his ass kicked by the swamp.
Yep.
Gets his ass kicked so much. Pretty sure he gets his ass kicked by Yoda's training.
Oh, definitely.
And then has to face his fears, which I think is just a cool, iconic scene. He's afraid of Vader.
Yeah, like, or think about. I think when we first are we going to start with like the meeting of this little green critter, or
what was that?
The little meeting of the green critter.
Yeah, Yoda.
Train with this frog. Like, what?
I will say Yoda as a puppet is so much greater than Yoda the CGI character.
Yes.
Like, he looks weird as a CGI character. And I don't mind that they did it because I like seeing a mobile Yoda, but I love just seeing the practical effects of Yoda.
The practical puppet Yoda is great.
Yeah. Very weird, though.
Yep.
20 years did not do well for him.
No.
Because he was just like a kooky, like... He's just a kooky little creature. Like,
kooky little frog dude that Luke is also, again... Ayo! You're like, Obi-Wan said so. I must. You're like, I meant this guy to be like...
Like, this is the great Jedi Master.
This is the great one. This is the one that Obi-Wan wanted me to train with. This dude.
And I have more to say on this, but I want to move on. I want to go back to Han and Leia. So they're trying to escape through the asteroid field, and this is actually one of those scenes that, like, I don't remember this scene that much, but I actually really liked this scene. It was just kind of a nice, like, hey, we can't do a hyperdrive. We have to escape.
We actually have to get past this asteroid field.
We have to show our cool space moves, which isn't really great.
Yeah, for the CGI days, but it's still cool.
You see a couple flips and you're like, okay, I guess that works. You just got to do a couple flips and you're good. Go into an asteroid field, but it is pretty cool to see. And they hiding out in the little space worm on the asteroid. They leave, and then they go to Bespin, Cloud City on Bespin.
Yep.
And then Luke, while training with Yoda, gets a vision of his friends in danger. And this is where, like, one of the things that I kind of want to talk about is both Obi-Wan and Yoda are like, don't go, Luke. You know, you're not ready to face Vader. You're not ready to, you know. They were afraid that he was going to go to the dark side. Yep. And I'm like, wait, the Jedi is acting out of fear. Both Yoda and Obi-Wan were acting out of fear here. Yeah. And I think it's just interesting because, like, the fear leads to the dark side, but it seems like they're acting out of fear. And, like, there is to be caution. If you're like, hey, my friends are in danger, I think Vader is getting them, I have to go save them, and understands, like, why. But it also just seems very quick, too, because he just gets there, and what is it, a day, 2 days? Yep. And it feels like it should be longer, but it's not. Like, Luke has no training whatsoever. Yeah. Like, he's a little bit more mature. He probably has a little bit more experience. Maybe some training a little bit there because he was there for a little bit, but still. Nothing, like, major. Nothing that, like, he's not ready for Vader. Nope. And that's kind of their warning, too, right? Like, you're not ready for that. Are you crazy? But my question is, are they in the wrong? I don't know if they are or not. I mean, save your friend. You always have to make an effort, right? That's why I like the Spider-Man movies. Like, you guys are just going to let this happen? You wouldn't try to do anything else? No matter what, like, you wouldn't try the next. Into the Spider-Verse?
canon event.
Oh, yeah.
Same way, same concept, right?
Yeah.
You can't change it.
Can't change it, can't do anything. And, like, I understand, but it seems very anti-Jedi, right? Like, they're supposed to be the heroes, and they're telling the hero not to do it.
Telling the hero he's not ready.
Yeah, and he might not be, but who is? Like, there's no one else.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing I think they're right. They are in the wrong. I think it goes in today's world, too. You don't know about the moment. Sometimes when that moment comes, you have to take it.
Yeah. And so many people, like, have respect for Obi-Wan and Yoda. Especially these films help. And, like, in the prequels and the Clone Wars, they're great characters. But in this moment, I'm like, I don't actually agree with them. I don't agree with any of them, really. Like, Obi-Wan, his whole sacrifice, I'm like, I don't know if it really is a benefit.
Did that sacrifice that Obi-Wan did that didn't really stop Darth Vader for like 2 seconds actually help?
Yeah. Couldn't you just escape and still lead your guidance through, like, you know, walkie-talkies, communication systems?
Yeah, or do something else.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just never, like, holds up for me.
Yeah, it didn't hold up that well. But
anyway, moving on. I just, like, these are just thoughts I have on
yeah,
this film.
I think they were wrong, too. I think you always help. When that help for call comes and you got to help out.
Anyway, we get to Cloud City. Han, he's like, hey, I know my friend Lando. And it was really cool to see, like, Lando just, like, being cold towards Han and has, like, every reason to actually be cold. And we can go back to the movie and know exactly why that's the case. And he acts like, hey, you taking care of my ship? I was like, no, I won that ship fair and square. But then, like, Lando is like, hey. And it's, like, it's just a cool moment to see. And that's why I really like the writing in this film. And like, these films, like, they call back on different characters, but they don't, like, you don't need to, like, explain the reference thoroughly or show it, or you can just talk about it and like, oh, these characters actually feel alive. They actually feel like they live lives.
They feel real. Yep.
So they get in, they go this whole huge feast, and immediately Darth Vader is there. It's a trap. And I really like this turn because it's like, oh shit, it's about to get real. Luke's not there, and then you realize it's betrayal of Lando, and like they're like, "Oh, you betrayed us." It's like, no shit. Like, I don't know if this friendship is that strong.
Exactly.
What do you think of Lando's decision here to betray him? Do you think he did the right thing? Because he talks about, like, I had no choice. They showed up before I did, and I had to protect this place.
I think Lando did what's best. Again, I think best for the people.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, like, oh, hey, it's Han. He's a mercenary. He's kind of a scum. He took my ship from me by cheating at
a game. Yep.
At a game. I mean, I was also cheating, but like to me, it's not really a betrayal.
To me, it's trying to protect what you love.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of the original thing of what Anakin wanted to do, protect what he loved too. But I think Lando actually did a better job.
Yeah. Boba Fett shows up.
Boba Fett.
What do you think of Boba Fett? What was your thoughts on him? Like the first scene. I know he now has his own show. He's on The Mandalorian.
I think it's a cool, powerful character.
He comes across as cool.
Yep.
He's like you see Boba Fett on the side of like Darth Vader. You're like, God damn, who is that guy?
It still looks different. He was so different compared to the Stormtroopers. That's what made him so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had a whole different like Stormtrooper-esque kind of style outfit, but he looked cool.
Oh yeah,
with the weaponry and all that.
And what I really love about this is like the next scene in the little I forget what room it's called, but it's the where he gets carbonized.
Mm-hmm.
It's so goddamn badass. Like it's orange, it's blue, it's dark. It's just like it's such a cool aesthetic of a scene, and it's such an iconic scene because they're getting Luke. I think I'm getting ahead of myself because they actually torture everybody first.
Torture people first, and then again.
Which I really like that. Like they did that because they showed like, hey, the Empire means business. Darth Vader means business. No problem torturing. Leia has no problem torturing Han. It just shows how, like, willing to go, how bad of a person they are.
Yeah, exactly.
They're willing to go at lengths. And then you get the scene where he gets frozen in carbonite. Now, originally, Harrison Ford and Han Solo was supposed to die here. He was supposed to die in this scene, but they changed it. And they changed it because they wanted to sell more Harrison Ford Han Solo toys.
Yep, smart move.
I think so. I actually like that they didn't just kill him, because I feel like it would have
defeated the cool character that he was.
Defeated the cool characters, and I just don't know if narratively it brings where it needs to go.
Yeah.
But like kryptonizing him and leaving the audience in the space of like, oh shit, like what is going on? He's a statue now.
Yep.
But I really like that scene because he goes in, and like as he goes down, Leia's doing this. I love you.
Yep.
God, Harrison Ford, so cool. Just, I know.
Yep.
Like, goddamn, you're facing death and you're still so cool. Like,
yeah. How does that even happen?
How do you keep doing this?
It's such a good job. Like, yeah.
And then like Chewie's like, oh, like I'm like, no. I heard his mourn so many times for Han Solo.
Yep.
It happens so often. He mourns for Han so much. And I just think of Force Awakens. So anyway, he gets trapped in carbonite. It's such an epic moment because it's like, oh man, the Empire is like kicking ass this entire film.
Defeated Han. That was hard.
And then you get Han. They take him off. They can't save him. Lando's like, hey, you know what? We're sick of this. We're fighting back. Releases them. They escape. And Luke shows up. Leia's like, it's a trap. Before General Akbar did it. It's a trap.
Yeah.
But what is Luke supposed to do anyway? He should have just ran at this moment. He has no reason to face his father. But he faces his father in the same room that the
carbonite, the bluish, cool looking room. Let's just put it that way.
Dude, this whole fight scene is fucking epic. Because he starts off in the blue room. He's holding his own.
Yep.
But also, I keep thinking of Rogue One Vader slaughtering everyone, and I'm like, oh yeah, Vader is definitely not. He's holding back.
He's holding back quite a bit.
Quite a bit, but it's still pretty epic.
Yeah, it's still really cool.
And then Luke gets a moment, kicks him off, and then they're in this like reddish, black, white hallway that just looks dope.
Yep.
Like this whole fight scene just looks cool because it's dark in the background, but they have like some like
different
colors.
Lighting that worked. The lighting was epic in these scenes.
I don't know if I don't think like the lightsaber scene is like the best of all time, but it's definitely the most iconic.
Yes.
Just the background, I will say Force Awakens.
The music, the score of Star Wars. Ooh.
And just like what that moment meant for Star Wars. Like that was, I say Revenge of the Sith is peak Star Wars. If I had any other moment in time where I can argue like this is peak Star Wars, it's this lightsaber scene right here.
Yeah.
Between Darth Vader, between Luke Skywalker, they're in Cloud City, they're in these epic rooms, and then get out into like the open space. And the classic line, he's talking about his father. Yeah. Also, Luke gets his ass kicked by Vader.
Yes.
Let's throw this out. And he talks about, Obi-Wan says you killed him. No, Luke. I am your father. No. I can see where Luke gets the no. There's a lot of no's from the Skywalkers. No, that's impossible.
Yep.
Like, Luke, you don't know who your father is. Come on, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Inconceivable.
No.
But you're already like a Jedi Knight. But it's that moment, though. Iconic Star Wars.
Yeah.
That no one ever gets right. Luke, I am your father. Like, people say it like that way.
Yep.
But it's like, no, I am your father. I don't know why that ever got mixed up.
I don't know why that is.
But it's still pretty epic
still,
when you hear it. I am your father. And it's just like a dun 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 moment. Like,
it's kind of the reveal. And people are like, oh, I knew it all along.
And another
think about this, people that didn't. There's some people in the 70s that have actually internet and figured out what Darth Vader actually meant.
Yeah.
This is 80s, I guess, now.
82. Darth Vader means father in
French.
French? No. Not
Wasn't
French.
It French
Dutch.
or something? Dutch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Dutch.
The point is, nobody knew that in America at that point.
They didn't have the internet.
We didn't care about the Dutch or the internet. This was huge.
Huge.
People were like, what? This is really what kicked off
this is like
the Star Wars boom.
And Luke is like, I'd rather kill myself than be with you. He gets his hand chopped off, jumps down, and they're like, oh, shit. Doesn't die, because no one dies from,
falling.
There's so many, like, deaths.
Except Obi-Wan. Somehow he dies and vanishes into thin air.
Well, he wasn't in the little space cylinder thing.
Yeah.
He jumped out and killed Darth Maul, but Darth Maul survived. Luke Skywalker survived. The Emperor survived somehow, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but, you know.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, but, yeah, the scene was great. And the reveal was even more amazing.
It is. And, I just want to point out Darth Vader is going easy on Luke this entire time, because he's not like, I want to kill this guy. I want to bring him in. I know who he is. Also,
he's
just the whole, search your feelings, Luke. You know it to be true.
Yep.
Iconic. I love that it's not a direct fight. I love this is not a good versus evil. And Star Wars is oftentimes good versus evil. And I love that
correct.
This isn't good versus evil. This is father versus son. This is Darth Vader going easy on his son because he wants him in.
Like, he wants his son on his side.
Darth Vader should be whooping Luke's ass. He could have killed him immediately if he wanted to. He's not.
Yeah, he's definitely holding back. Holding back a lot of punches.
Even with Obi-Wan holding back. Because you think of Rogue One. And I don't know if that's like the intention. I know in Empire Strikes Back that's the intention. I don't know if it's the intention of the first one. Probably because of the fact that they can't show off all the cool skills.
Yeah.
Because Darth Vader's fucking ruthless in these films too. With the Force stroke and stuff. He doesn't do that with Luke. He doesn't Force stroke him. He could literally just pick him up, Force stroke him, and throw him off the edge and kill him and be done with it.
Yep.
It's not what they do.
The epic fight scene.
So he gets saved. He falls down. He calls up for Leia using the Force. They come by. Again, he has this Mary Sue aspect to him. He just gains these abilities.
Yeah, like that ship doesn't get recognized at all.
No, but like when Rey does like random shit, they're like, oh, she's a Mary Sue. It's like, well, Luke's not far off.
Luke is the same.
Luke, basically, yeah.
Yep.
And that's fine. It's just a narrative plot device. Characters learn skills at random times, but if Leia learns a random skill, if Rey learns a random skill, yeah. Anyway, that's toxic. Star Wars fandom. We're not toxic Star Wars fans. We give them shit, but you know what? We also
give them shit, but we love it.
We love this shit.
Exactly. We eat it. We eat shit.
All right. So Luke gets saved by Leia and Chewie. They connect. They move on. Movie over. Rating. Do I go first?
You go first this time.
I straight up just give this a 5.
Oh, you gave this a 5.
I give it a 5. This is elite. This is peak Star Wars.
This is
like when I watch
this is the the best Star Wars film.
Yeah,
I would say 10
easily.
out of 10.
This one stays up. This one, like rewatching this film, like it still holds.
Yep.
New Hope doesn't really hold as much. Original Star Wars doesn't hold. This one does. Like when I watch these movies back to back, that's when I realized how vastly superior Empire Strikes Back is.
Yes.
It starts off from the beginning. It just keeps going. It builds the lore, increases the action constantly, and Vader is just such a great villain. The first movie was an origin film. Vader is like, no, this is my movie. I'm taking over, and I don't know why. Because there's only one other movie I can really think of that the villains win, and that's Infinity War.
Yep.
And I don't know why, but I when villains win, it feels good. It just
feels normal.
Goddamn, they got their ass kicked, but it was fun watching them get their ass kicked. Rebels won by just surviving. Luke and Leia won by just getting out of that mess. Yep,
exactly. No, I mean I was gonna say a 4+, so not too far off again.
Yeah,
I mean this is the peak Star Wars for me too as well. Like this movie, so you can give Star Wars shit a lot of stuff just because it's the timing of Star Wars, things like that. That's why we say it's before its time. But overall, the movie itself today is still just phenomenal. And the reveal, if you think about it in the time and the people in the internet age, that was huge. That was epic as epic could be for anybody. And they're and it ended in such a way you're like, next film, please.
Give it here.
Right? It ended in such a good fashion. You're
they got their ass kicked. Luke doesn't have a hand anymore, and Han's a fucking statue.
Yep.
And Darth Vader is his father? What?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, interesting.
There's another Jedi? I'm so high-pitched here.
Yeah, just like that, but the same way, what are these characters? What is this? Who is this guy?
Who's the MVP of this film?
Darth Vader, obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was thinking
It's
about
like
it.
not
I'm
even
like,
a question. Like, there's not. Yeah, it's Darth
no,
Vader.
I was like, is it Luke? I'm like, Luke is up there. I think Luke's second, but he gets his ass kicked like so.
No,
many
Darth
times.
Vader is the leader of this film.
I agree.
It has to be.
All right, so I give it a 5. You get a 4+. We both agree that it's Darth Vader is the MVP.
This is the
film.
epic Star Wars. This is it. This is the creme de la creme. Sign off. Never watch another Star Wars movie. It's great.
Well, no, you got to watch another one. That's how great this film is. No,
Yeah, you had to watch the
have
next one.
To watch the next one, and the next one, Return of the Jedi. This film is interesting.
How so?
This film is interesting. One, it starts off like I just watched this one this morning, catching up on it.
Oh, you just watched this morning, so it's fresh.
I'm fresh. I watched Empire Strikes Back last night. Those two are fresh on. New Hope was last week. The opening scene's pretty cool. It's so long, and I don't know if like they should have left it in there and they did something else, but I will say Luke coming in, going to Jabba the Hutt's palace is kind of a cool setup. First is the droids that go there.
Yeah.
It's the droids. And the whole idea. Luke is very mature in this film.
Much more mature than he's ever
And
been.
it's striking almost. It's like it's only been a year. Not even a year.
Yeah, his transformation is a little bit big.
And he's wearing black, so it reminds me of Anakin Skywalker in a way. And this beginning scene, it's very dark. Like his opening message, he's like, he sounds like one of those like corporate executives that is gonna like at any moment that benefits them is gonna, cut the deal off and essentially backstab you.
Yeah.
Because they're like all about money. Like that's how he came across in that message. Like I'm sure we can come to
He comes off as a potential villain, which I think is kind of
the point. They play it off really well.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just really striking at first because it's like he's wearing black. Leia comes in as a bounty hunter with Chewie. She sneaks and gets Han, and then it was their whole trap. They knew it the whole time. They were laughing at him. Then Luke shows up. He foolishly gets standing on the only platform that goes into the Rancor.
Yep.
Leia's like, Luke, you're standing on the. Also, I understand why there's so many like slave Leia suit stands. Like I get it. I never really got it when I watched this movie when I was a little bit younger, but now I'm like, God damn, Carrie Fisher looks really good in that costume.
I mean, I didn't pay attention to that, but okay.
Like,
no.
But like,
I'll have to watch it.
But there's so many people who are like, oh man, Leia, like
I can see. Oh yeah, I can see why they did that. Yeah, they definitely prop her up to be.
And I remember just like
Queen
watching
Bee.
it, I'm like, okay, she looks pretty damn hot in it, but it gets weird because like the whole time she flirts with like Luke.
Yep.
It's still just like this weird. And also the fact that like, Carrie Fisher has moved on too.
Yep.
Like, oh man, she's like super hot in this, but like 40 years later, she's passed away. It's like,
yeah.
Rest in peace.
They
Carrie
definitely
Fisher.
did. They definitely showed, Leia. In that
Again,
kind
she's
of character role.
badass.
But badass, yeah.
So Luke is very dark. He gets in there. He falls into the Rancor pit, and he doesn't have his lightsaber, so he has to figure out his way to like beat the Rancor. And he looks kind of like panicked and scared in this moment. But I really like how like they throw Luke in these situations where he's not an overpowered person. He has to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it feels, even though he has some Mary Sue moments, he does have to earn his way. He does have to like overcome.
Yeah, it shows that he's not always given to it, and
Yeah.
I think the other Mary Sue moments are more.
Though
for
I
his
will say, like,
filmies.
he kills the Rancor by the door. So it ends quick. But there was one little moment, a character moment, that I think is really touching, that it plays into Boba Fett a little bit, the show, the Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Which is the Rancor is trying to kill Luke. He comes off as this crazy flesh-eating monster. But like, once he kills the Rancor, this guy comes in. It looks like the Rancor's trainer, and he's a little sad. He's crying. And they didn't just show it once. They showed it twice.
Yep.
And he's like crying. Like someone's consoling him. I'm like, oh, no. Like this person actually like...
Yeah.
It's sad. I'm like, oh, maybe Rancors are a little bit more... Like they're characters or like they're animals that...
Yeah, the animals.
That like are attached to other people. Like there's someone who's
there's
attached
some
to this
setting.
Rancor. And Luke just murdered it.
Yeah, just
It's a little bit of a theme moving forward. But I just think of Book of Boba Fett,
yep,
where Boba's riding the Rancor, and I remember watching it like, oh man, it's hard to believe, because I think of Rancor, this like menacing monster, but then I call back to this movie, I'm like, oh wait,
they're crying a little bit. Yeah.
They're not just the bloodthirsty monster. There's like actually connections.
Yep, the human connection.
So anyway, Luke gets caught anyway, like a little bitch that he is.
Yep.
Yeah, I beat the Rancor, but oh no, somebody grabbed me.
Yep, right
Captured.
after that.
But Luke, this entire time, is so confident. He's like, you should have took that deal. You're gonna regret it.
Mm-hmm.
But Luke, his plan wasn't that great. R2-D2 has his lightsaber, but what is he without his lightsaber?
Yep.
And you know what's really cool about this lightsaber? You know why his lightsaber is green in this movie?
Why is it green?
Why the actual reason why it's green? Because blue did not look good in the desert. So they switched it to green so they could show off the scene.
Yep.
That is the reason why he has a green lightsaber at all in the first place. But in story, they just changed it to, oh yeah, he just made a green lightsaber. Which is actually pretty cool lore.
Yeah, which is actually pretty cool.
Because he lost his lightsaber down the little hatch.
The hatch, yep.
And then it falls in the Bespin, and somehow Maz Kanata gets it later.
Yep.
Somehow, some way, conveniently gives it to Rey, or Finn, I guess.
Finn.
We'll get into that later.
Yep.
So this whole scene, they're out in the desert pans. You get the sand pits. You get I forget the little, what they're called, the little Venus desert flytrap things where it digests you over 1,000 years.
Oh, yeah.
And Han, he comes back. He doesn't have his vision. He's all blind. He's definitely not the MVP of this film.
Definitely not. This is finally where he's like the opposite of Han.
And what's really, really cool about... What's cool and like lame too, because Boba Fett isn't there, and he like, oh man, Boba Fett. But Boba Fett goes out like a little bitch.
Yeah, he does.
Like in the worst way possible. Like he doesn't get beaten by Luke. He doesn't get beaten by Han, but he does get beaten by Han. Accidentally. By a blonde Han Solo who just happens to hit his jetpack that goes off, and he flies into a ship and falls to his death.
Yep.
Apparent death. And it's like, really?
That's how that happens?
That is and he goes with a like scream. It's like, God, man, you took Boba Fett, made him cool, and then you did that to him. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. Tossed him off right away.
So Luke gets his lightsaber. I don't think it's a great plan, because his whole plan was like, I'm gonna jump and I'm gonna grab the thing and jump back up and catch the lightsaber and just start slaughtering them. This is where I'm like, man, you are very dark, Luke.
Yeah.
Like, the dark side is definitely in you. He's slaughtering all those things, like he's slaughtering, like his father slaughtered the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going out full.
No remorse. Didn't matter.
And Leia
done.
in her sexy slave suit costume chokes out Jabba the Hutt.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, Leia's a fucking badass. Kills like the most notorious crime boss in all the galaxy simply by choking him with chains. Can you choke Jabba? I don't even understand how that
Apparently
works.
you can.
I don't even know how he moves.
Yeah, I don't probably, yeah.
He just has platforms that move him. I don't know. I kind of want to be Jabba. You're just a fat little blob. You don't really move.
You just sit there and just rule everybody. Everybody does. Yeah. It's Jabba. Right? Choked out by chains somehow, because I don't know how that worked.
Iconic. I will say this whole scene is iconic. I enjoyed it. But it also feels like unnecessary, because immediately afterwards, Luke goes to the Dagobah system. Han and Leia meet up with the rebels, and they're like, all right, new Death Star. We're going to fucking battle it.
Yep.
Like, it immediately goes.
Like war plans, and you're like, all right.
It goes to saving Han to war plans immediately. It's like, God damn.
War plans to end this war, basically, is what you went to. Like,
and then Yoda's dying because,
yeah.
he's old.
He's old.
Okay.
Which just goes more to Yoda's lore. You're like, okay, he was like the coolest, weirdest little green creature you ever seen, and now he's dying. You're like, okay.
Yeah. And this is where the info dump comes from, because he gets all the info. Like, oh, Darth Vader is your father. He's actually Anakin Skywalker. He is your father. Wait, you lied to me. Well, you couldn't handle the truth. I didn't lie to you,
Yep.
I didn't actually lie. I was telling you the truth of sorts. Like, sure, Darth Vader killed my father, but they're actually the same person. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't, like, technically you killed Anakin if you think about it. You're the one who killed him, but, let's not get into the truths.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where, like, this is the scene where, like, when you think about the Jedi in the original trilogies, it's like, are the Jedi good people?
Yep.
Because, like, Yoda's not being a part of this. He ran like a little bitch afterwards. Obi-Wan also ran, but that makes sense. You respect Obi-Wan, but now he's lying to Luke.
Yep.
He really wants, like, they both really want him to join the space cult that is the Jedi.
Yeah, that Jedi is an interesting term. That's why I like the idea of the Mandalorian Jedi. That was going to be cool.
That would be cool.
But, yeah.
Anyway, so they're done. Second Death Star. The Empire really likes their battle stations. It rhymes. It repeats.
Yeah, history repeats itself. Everybody knows
Death
that.
Star. Second Death Star. Star Killer Base. Death Stars on ships.
Yeah, what do you call it? Why not? Death Star. That doesn't sound evil.
I actually don't mind them doing a second space station because I don't know what the better alternative would be.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I feel like the only alternative was, the Empire is weak. There's an opening for them to take out the main base, like on a planet. That would have been interesting. But I really did like the battle back and forth, or the war scenario that they created.
Yes.
Like, hey, there's a second Death Star, but there's a shield generator down on the moon of Endor. And so we have to do a two-front attack.
Yeah, because we got to get that shield generator.
And actually, it's a three-prong attack if you think about that. Luke does go into the Death Star too to confront the Emperor. And so I really like that aspect of it. We'll start with Endor. And the Endor forest is iconic. Have you ever been to the Sequoia? I think it's Sequoia.
Yeah, the Sequoia National Park, yep.
Yeah. Did you ever go there and you're like, man, this is where the Ewoks live?
Yes.
This is where they fought off the ATSTs.
Yes.
I
done that.
I was there,
cool.
and I was like, we're on Endor. Come here, little Ewoks.
This is what it's like in Star Wars if I was on this planetly world.
Which is really cool. It's really cool that you can go to these locations and be like, oh man, I'm actually at a different planet right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what's great about the lore of Star Wars.
What is your thoughts on the Ewoks?
What are my thoughts overall of the importance to the story?
Just in general, what are your thoughts on the Ewoks? Because there's a lot of controversy on the Ewoks being part of this.
Yeah, it's a good question because, I mean, they literally know the base is there. They're not doing anything for it. I don't know. I take them more like hobbits. They just live in their hole.
They do. I don't hate the Ewoks.
Nope.
But it kind of comes up, like, it's hard to take seriously because they're all cute, cuddly, like, teddy bears.
Yeah, I mean, they're hobbits, right? They're just basically hobbits. They're the hobbits of the world.
Of sorts. They're a hobbit of sorts. I wouldn't know how to say
I'm not
hobbits.
necessarily that far, but if you think about it, like, they're like...
So I really like the scene, and then Luke's like, we must confront them, otherwise they'll just, be focused on me here because they want me. And I don't know if I really like that logic, but, we gotta get the story. We gotta
get the story, right? Exactly.
We gotta get Darth Vader and Luke and the Emperor, which we actually see the Emperor in this film. Like, we see him, like, walking.
Yep.
And, yeah, the Emperor's, he's just cool. I don't know. Like, it's just such an iconic scene, just, like, watching him. I'm like, oh, that's the Emperor.
That's the big bad. Okay.
Yeah, he's the mastermind behind
He's the one that caused this whole other 2 films, or technically this third film.
So he saves himself. And I really like how they kind of just go, like, if they wanted to kill Luke, they had him right there and then. Easily could have killed him. And I think if they would have killed Luke, sure, the second Death Star might have still be down. Because I think eventually they would have won. Like, Luke winning in this moment doesn't change it. But I feel like Darth Vader and Palpatine, they still live. They'll fight another day, which means the Empire isn't destroyed. But it's interesting. I thought this scene was interesting because they're both trying to, like, convince Luke to join the dark side. And I really like how dark Luke was this whole film because it's like, holy shit, he just slaughtered a bunch of people,
Yep.
Like,
a bunch of people, things, creatures.
Beings, sentient beings. He just murdered a bunch of them. For just reasons, sure, but he did murder them. Didn't really feel bad about it. The way he just handled the whole Jabba situation, you're like, he's kind of dark. And you see that. And I do really appreciate this film for doing that.
Yeah.
And I do like the whole nuance that they're trying to join them. But Vader and Palpatine are very, like, into their religion that is being a Sith.
Yes.
That is the dark side. And it's just interesting because I don't look at it like... It looks like two different cults trying to get this young boy to join.
That's exactly what it is.
Like,
short and simple. It's two different cults trying to chase after this boy's hopes and dreams.
And like growing up, it's like, oh, it's good and evil. It's dark and light. And it's like, is it though?
When you see some of their actions, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
that's what I think too. Like that's why I like Andor so much.
Mm-hmm.
Too. That does a really good job of explaining both.
It does. It shows like for a rebellion to happen, a lot of bad shit has to happen.
Yep.
And like you have to do bad things. And he's like, I'm doing bad things so that this universe is better. I'm going to hell, or whatever Star Wars equivalent to hell is.
Yeah.
I'm going to that place, but I'm doing it for the greater good of the people.
So those people don't have to. Yeah, exactly.
I fucking love that show. But this is more simple.
We'll get to that one.
It's a little bit more
simple. Did you ever do an Andor review? Oof. It's coming.
I did a fresh take.
You did a fresh take. Oh, you did.
But we could do an Andor like episode.
Love Andor. That's my favorite
type
one of all time. Not of Star Wars. I think it's up there. It's number one.
I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite, but goddamn, it's good. It's the best one.
Yeah.
It might be, if you rank projects, it's either Empire Strikes Back or Andor.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, yeah. Continue with the scene. Ewoks, the little Hobbit people that allowed this technically to happen.
They win. I don't know how to like describe the story. It's really cool how like you see like Han Solo, Leia, they're running away.
Yeah.
And then, like,
so what do you think of the Ewoks? Let's think about that for a sec, because now I'm curious. Like,
what I think about the Ewoks?
Yeah.
Again, really cool lore.
Cool lore. Cute, cuddly creatures.
It's kind of like almost cute and cuddly. Like they almost went too much into it. But there is an aspect of it like, hey, these are just native species having to fight this war. They didn't ask for this. They all just came.
Yeah, Hobbit-like. They're just there.
And there was like this one scene, and I think of my ex-wife because she was really in the Ewoks, and the way she just like described that scene, because she was just like, anytime we watched this film, this was her favorite film. And like when Widget, I think Widget is the Ewok, the main Ewok that we follow. Yep. When his buddy died and he's just like all sad about it. Like I don't know. I think of her in this aspect of it.
Yeah.
And she's just like, it's just so sad. It's just so sad.
The sad cuteness. They like, definitely leveraged that.
They did. And I'm like, it is sad. And it's like these native beings had no place, but they're like, you know what? Hey, this invasive species here will help you out. So it's really cool to see like the rebellion work with it, and it kind of really
turn it to become more, to make them good too. But like I said, I think they're more like just neutral. They're like Sweden.
Yeah, they're more neutral, but they decided to join the Allies. The rebellion. Decided to. And the rebellion, it shows them that they're good.
Yeah, it shows them
like, hey, we're trying to just drive them off this planet too to defeat the shield generator, which they did. Which then, boom, the rebellion's like, all right, we're ready, but no. Do you want to say it? General Akbar?
No.
It's a trap. The battle station's operational.
Yeah.
Which is actually a huge plot twist. Like, they were like, oh, no. We were expecting this. We were hoping you'd go.
You'd hoping you'd send your people down there.
And I just love how strategic it was. It was like, oh, everybody, go to the ships. Go to the Star Destroyers.
Yep.
Go to the Star Destroyers. So if they try to kill us, they take out their ship too. So it's really cool to just see like the battle plans and all played out. Like it actually feels like Star Wars.
It actually feels like a real war, right?
Like a lot of times, like we see Star Wars
strategies in place.
Yeah, like this aspect of it actually feels like a war story, but it's definitely overtaken by Luke's story.
Yes, definitely.
And Luke's story is probably the best part about this whole film. Him, Emperor Darth Vader, he's fighting. And there's one scene where like he runs away and he like hides in the shadows, and Darth Vader is like this tall figure. He's lowering his head so he doesn't bump his helmet on the scene, and it looks really silly because he looks like he's trying to play hide and seek with his son.
Yep.
He's like, "Where are you?" You can't hide forever, Luke. He's just looking over every corner.
Yes, very true.
Like, you ever watch Adventure Time?
Yes.
The cat. Come here, Frank the human. I approximately know where you are. Oh, I thought you'd be here. Like, that's what
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what that scene is.
It's just like Darth Vader's just like, where are you? And
in the forest. Oh.
He jumps up on, and the Darth Vader actually shows his power and destroys, like, he does the lightsaber throw, which I think is the only time we've seen the lightsaber throw in the original trilogy.
Yep.
Kills the catwalk. Then he talks about, like, Luke's like, I'm not going to be a part of your, dark cult. I'm already a part of a cult. I'm pretty happy with my cult. I'm a Jedi.
I like my cult. I joined it. It was a fun cult.
And I'm the only one. I am the last cult member.
Yep.
They should have named it that instead of Last Jedi.
The last cult
member.
Member.
Kind of. Not really.
Unsure. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
But I really like this is like, oh, you have another.
Yep.
Your sister, Leia. Well, she'll join the dark side too. And that just pisses Luke off. And you see the rage. And you see the rage built into him. And he takes out Vader. He takes out his hand. The screen goes into his hand. Notices his robot arms. And he stops. And he reflects. And the camera shows this. And he drops his lightsaber down. I will say that scene in the camera at work, fucking beautiful. I love storytelling that's just show.
Yeah, just shows you don't have to.
Like, he realizes he's becoming his father. He gave into his anger. He gave into his hate.
Yeah.
And he realized it, he stopped, and he put it down. And I actually really like that they played this whole dark side Luke, and intentionally or not intentionally, I don't even know at this point, but it works.
Yeah, it worked really well, I think.
And like that's where he's like, I'm not doing this.
Became the better man, basically.
So
in that
be
scene.
it. He does a little hand gesture. He's in the lightning. I don't know how I feel about Vader in this moment.
Yep.
And I wish we would have got Vader's perspective a lot more.
Yeah.
And the only really perspective we got is when he's doing his scenes in Empire Strikes Back, which I wish I forgot to completely touch on, where he's in this little pod, the black and white pod, and he's doing shit. Like he's just meditating in his little pod and he's doing his evil self.
Yep.
Like it's his own command center. Fucking awesome. I just wanted to point that out because I realized we didn't talk about it. I'm like, that's cool. That's dope as hell. But we don't get any perspective on Anakin Skywalker.
Not in these moments.
And I'm like, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what he's doing. And it's kind of like, I'm not saying this brings the movie down, but it's kind of a shame because when he turns, right?
Yep.
When he comes back to the light side, it's like we get it from Luke's perspective, but it's hard to
find it realistic.
Believe in.
He's so evil. And all of a sudden he turns because of,
and he's redeemed. Mm-hmm. The movie acts like he's redeemed. And I remember pausing the movie, turning to my wife, because we were watching together, and be like, is Anakin redeemed here? I don't think he is. This dude murdered several Jedi. This dude murdered...
He blew up planets.
He blew up planets. He killed younglings. In the comics and these video games, he murders... and injures so many people. He murdered the Tusken Raiders, women, children.
Yep.
Is he redeemed here because he saved his son?
No.
No, fuck no. He turned for selfish reasons. He turned evil for selfish reasons. He turned evil. He turned to the dark side to save Padme.
Yep.
And then he turned back to the light side to save his son. He's not redeemed. But he acts
by means. They make him seem redeemed, but I was like...
And then he throws Palpatine down, which never, the end, the scene worked until, the ending where I'm like, I feel like it could have been better.
I feel like it could have been done better, too.
And, I give it for granted, too. And
or more of a surprise turn scene, how it happened. Because it was kind of like, oh, is it?
If you're in Star Wars, never throw people down a dark cylinder. That seems like it has no ending. Never throw them down. They don't die.
Yep.
Darth Maul didn't die. The Emperor didn't die. Luke didn't die. No one dies if you fall down a dark cylinder. They're still alive somehow. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Could have been a different scene for sure.
What'd you think of the scene, though? What was your thoughts on it?
Well, I thought it started out pretty decently, but I think the building of the turn was weak. There should have been more of like coming back from the last movie to this movie. I mean, you're coming off a huge... this was supposed to be a huge light kind of bringing.
I'm trying to think how they would make this turn better. I feel like if they would have gave some insight from the Darth Vader's perspective.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's where I come back to the Darth Vader's perspective. Like, should have showed him even before that, like, questioning a little bit more what is good.
Basically, we just need more Darth Vader scenes.
Yeah.
We needed Darth Vader in, like, the beginning aspect of this movie.
Yeah, instead of that Jabba Hutt weird thing, you could have did more about Darth Vader questioning.
Darth Vader mixed in with Jabba the Hutt.
Or you could have showed both Luke and Vader, I guess, it's, their progression through this.
Yeah. It would have been...
Like, you could have shown Luke going dark and Vader slowly turning more light would have been cool. Him changing up the plans a little bit and changing how they were doing stuff or changing the people subtly. And bringing up to this light moment where they team up together at the end where Palpatine's thinking that and Darth Vader is like the twist turner, does it that way. I think that would have been way more epic. And it would have made sense. You'd have been like, Vader's like, no, we've got to protect it.
Yeah.
We need him alive or something weird like that or something small, and it grows, and like midway through you kind of see like they're both at the critical point where they could tip. And then that's when they meet, and then the hand thing happens and Luke stops, and then you see like the tip goes to the light side,
Yeah, and it shows
that'd be cool.
It shows like Darth Vader like turning in this moment too. Like you see the mask and you see him thinking, but you don't like, it's just the mask.
Yeah, and you see like the thought process of like, how can we do this then, because they already took off and the ship started.
Yeah, they do their best to try to like show that Darth Vader is like thinking about it.
Yeah,
like they pander on the mask, but there's no expression there, and so he just turns and kills. He goes like, no.
Yep.
There's just this silly no, which are like, oh, okay, that's where the Revenge of the Sith no comes from. No. Down he goes. He's like, ah.
Yeah.
And
that's what I think of this ending scene, though. Like,
but I never
built that,
because both Vader and Emperor is like, strike. We'll take over the Emperor and rule the Empire together. Or like the Emperor's like, kill Vader, kill him.
Yep.
It's like, goddamn, how does this work? Like, you both know there's like the thing of two, and you're both trying to recruit him. Like, you guys should know you're trying to betray each other.
Yeah, exactly. Kill him instead.
Wait, why do you both want to turn him at this point? Because like, as soon as you turn him, one of you got to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, like
that's what I think about the scene too. Like, it had a couple of flaws in there. That was a very good flaw to point out because that's very true. I was thinking about that too, and I think about it.
Sith don't make sense. Like, why just two? You should definitely have more than two. The Jedi has like thousands.
Yeah,
still doesn't stop the fact that
Palpatine
killed them all. But
tidbit, yeah, kill Vader. Like, what? Why? Defeats the whole purpose of what happens.
So there's a couple other things. One, the love confession with Leia is like, oh, I like Han is like, do you love Luke? I do love him. Oh, well, when he gets here, it's okay. Like, no, he's my brother. And he's like, oh, it's like, wait, how does people trust in this? Like, what? He's your brother? What?
Yeah, I would be like Han. I'd be like, oh.
And the whole confession too, like before Luke leaves, is like, you're my sister. It's like, no, who would believe that? Who told you this? A crazy old frog in the forest?
Yeah, no kidding. That changes a little bit. Like, all right, that's what I said when they decided to put that in there. It's like, I don't think that was that thought through, or did they just like, I'm gonna change it?
It doesn't work as well. Like, it's cool thinking of them as like twins now, but like it just
didn't work.
It doesn't work.
It was a very
well.
ad lib thing that I was like,
add in. You got to toy around with incest. Like,
yeah, it was very weird. I will say that was weird.
It's weird watching now, and I think it's weird back then. I think they acknowledged it because they made the change. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna make Leia important for reasons. Like, why? She's already like a rebel leader.
She could have just been a badass rebel leader and left it at that.
Like, she's a thing of a love triangle. Like, it doesn't need to be the fact that Leia and Luke are twins.
Yeah.
I don't mind it now because I like the lore of it and like what they did with it.
But yeah, it was weird at the time.
Yeah.
It was that time.
But Vader burning is weird. Because Luke takes... Well, we're going to hit ourselves. Luke sees Vader and they have their little moment. It doesn't quite land for me when I watch it because it's like... It doesn't feel earned. like Vader being like, "Oh, Luke, my son," you know, like
Yep.
you turned me. It's like it doesn't land for me. And I love the OG trilogy, but like Vader turning doesn't land.
Get him. Yeah, he doesn't get a full redemption off that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm like, he gets a redemption, but he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
He hasn't earned it, nor narratively it seems earned. Vader burning is weird because he's an enemy. I know it's Luke's father, but it's weird that he gets a ceremony with the mask on too.
Yep.
Like, it's iconic, Vader burning in the fire. Like, it's, especially with the fact after Mustafar.
Yeah, exactly, Mustafa.
It rhymes.
That's
Star
how...
Wars, it rhymes.
Mustafa
okay.
Star Wars.
I have two other things, little nitpicks. There was fires in the trees, in the tree forts. And I'm like, wait, how the fuck are they having like a bonfire on their tree fort? Wouldn't everything just burn? It's all wood.
The ending there, like, yeah.
And then the whole galactic ending with like CGI and stuff. You see the Gungans at Naboo. You see Coruscant. You see another planet that also looks like Coruscant, but I forget. I don't think it is Coruscant.
Yeah, I think give you the people there too.
And I kind of like how it fits with everything. It fits everything together, but it doesn't fit the original trilogy because the scope of the original trilogy wasn't that big.
Yep.
It wasn't that big at all, and so it just doesn't fit.
The whole scope they brought everything in was weird.
Like,
I thought that the extra special people they put in there, like Qui-Gon, young Anakin, weird.
Yeah, the young Anakin, they bring Hayden Christensen back for that role. They don't bring in the original Vader. Also, the fact that, like, oh, he's redeemed now. Like, oh, Obi-Wan's just like, oh, hey, Anakin, welcome to the Force Ghost Club. Welcome, way to be good now. Thanks for killing the Emperor.
I knew you'd get the balance.
Yeah.
Thank you for killing the Emperor that's not actually dead yet.
You know, we'll forgive you for all your sins. Yeah, it's not like you murdered your wife. It's not like you murdered all these children.
Yeah, definitely. Forgiven.
It's just... All right. What do you give this rating?
I also went with the original trilogy. I went with a 3+.
That's exactly what I gave it. I think this movie it's good.
Well, the last movie, the original trilogy, sorry, 3+.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It's borderline great. There's great moments.
There's great moments in the scenes, great fights.
But the pacing in this film is bad.
Yes.
It goes from this...
The pacing, and then again,
start,
it goes back to some questionable storytelling. That was like...
Use a lot of narratives, a lot of plot devices to get characters. Luke, like, hey, I have to meet these guys. It's like, no, you don't. But, like, for the story, they couldn't think of something better. And they just kind of jump into this galactic war
right afterwards.
Right after the scene. It just doesn't fit well. Like, there could have been a lot of different scenes in between the Jabba Hutt thing that would have made everything piece together. Or they could have just took the Jabba Hutt scene out of it. Or if they would have just killed Han in the first place and had the guts to do so, they would have done their own thing. I do like that scene, the first scene, but I feel like just the pacing just is off in this film.
Seems, yeah, it's different.
Where do you rank these films? Like 1, 2, 3.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, how would you rank these films? Like, what's the best one, second one? Like, we have
what is the best one? I mean, we know the ratings, obviously. The best one's going to be The Empire Strikes Back. They give New Hope, and then, yeah.
Yeah, that's my rankings, too. I think New Hope is just cleaner. There's a lot of flaws.
Yeah, there's a lot of flaws, but it's cleaner, and it's the setup film that set this whole thing together.
Yeah, whereas, like, this last
Which
film...
I both gave these films both 3+.
This last film kind of gives, like, its finale of sorts.
Yeah, The Return of the Jedi,
But it's such an odd pacing film with everything else.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's last. I mean, more of a thing about it, I'd probably give this a 3 versus 3+ if I had to distinguish.
That's fair.
If I had to distinguish, but it'd be harder. But I'll leave it at 3+, though.
I give it 3+ because I'm like, there's aspects where I'm like, there's great aspects to this.
Yes.
But I think, like, push comes to shove, I'd give this a 3 over a 4. That's why it's a 3+. But
yeah,
like, if someone's like, no, it's not a great film whatsoever, I might actually agree with them if they push. But I would give it a 3+. All
yeah,
right.
if they push on it, like in any Star Wars, if you push any Star Wars, you can always lower your standards. But
all right, MVP
of the last film, Luke.
I agree with Luke. Who is your MVP of the whole trilogy?
MVP of the entire trilogy. Each film
has its own MVP. Who's the trilogy's MVP?
This trilogy. Well, I think the MVP, if you put this trilogy as a whole, is Leia.
Ah.
She's the Kickstarter of everything.
She's the one who had the plans.
She's the one that had the plans, had the motive, been working on it for a long time.
Was the rebellion leader, who's the one who got Luke in the rebellion, who got Han into the rebellion.
She brings everybody in. She's the key cog.
I like Leia. I thought about Leia. I'm like, Leia definitely deserves an honorable mention. I feel like it's either Vader or Luke to be MVP of this whole thing.
The only thing I can't give to Vader is because of the last film. They didn't do Vader justice.
So is it Luke or Leia then?
I'd say Luke or Leia, but Leia. We didn't give Leia an MVP for each film because she was always there, but I think over the structure...
She was like second or third.
She was always second or third in every film, but overall, that's why I give her first. On the whole
right, you go
trilogy.
Leia. I don't know if I can give Leia the MVP of the whole film. I think it's still Luke, but Leia's definitely honorable mention.
Yeah, I can see we can give it to Luke too. Like, Luke definitely had the most growth. But I think Luke in the first one, the second one even sometimes.
So naive.
I will say when he did it, the third one, he did a phenomenal. Mark Hamill did a phenomenal job with Luke. So it's like, I think overall Leia was consistent across too much for me to not give her the role of MVP overall.
All right.
She is the finals MVP.
Finals MVP. All right. Last couple thoughts. Do these films still hold up?
Oh, that's actually a tough question. The more and more I watch them, the more and more I question it, actually.
Yeah, I think the more with age, the more it gets older.
Yeah, it gets older. I mean, I'm still a Star Wars fan. I like they're going new and trying to keep the original lore. But I think at a certain point level, they try to keep it too original and to modernize it to keep it going. I think Star Wars is a dying breed, if you were to ask me.
Yeah, well, sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi hero ship at all is
I mean, it's kind of dying now too overall. Just like Star Wars, the brand is. Yeah, it's alive and strong because of the Mandalorian and the shows by Dave Filoni, but the movies are a struggle.
Yeah, the movies are a mass. I mean, they could say that they made $1 billion for Force Awakens or whatever.
I think these movies still hold up, but I found myself finding the prequels more enjoyable, and it feels weird saying that. But as an adult, yeah. I just enjoyed like the lore of it more. Like the story. I look at it, I'm like, it's crap. But all right, we talked about Vader being redeemed. Excuse me. I mean, not redeemed, but was redeemed. Yeah. Yeah, like he's redeemed. Didn't really quite work. I know we talked about it already. It just doesn't hold up. He's redeemed at the end. Luke turned him, and it's like it doesn't give it enough redemption for me. Like if someone does that in our world. It'd be like redeeming Hitler. I'm like, Hitler's amazing. Go to heaven, Hitler. Proud of you. Yeah. I'd be like, I mean, Hitler, I don't like making the Hitler comparison often, but yeah, I think if you, in terms of history, Hitler, more like, I don't know who Hitler's second in command is, because Vader's technically second in command. Like, the Emperor and Hitler would be more one-on-one. But it's pretty equivalent, though, yeah. Vader to Hitler. And I don't think there's a lot of things that Hitler can do that would redeem him. Especially saving his own son, who's fighting him. I mean, sure, you could... Yeah, it just seems like unrealistic that level of person can realistically turn back from all that. Unless they showed him do really good stuff afterwards. But no, they're like, he's dead. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's it? Like, he didn't have to do anything else to be redeemed? Are you sure? Are you positive? You're absolutely sure. He didn't have to do anything else. Show me a little bit more than that. I'm pretty sure both Yoda and Obi-Wan would be like, yo... He didn't try to reset, we're happier in the light side, but we got some major questions for you, man. Yeah, all right, a couple more questions, because this is getting a little bit longer. Was Boba Fett wasted? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Easily. He would have been mention him in Endor. Fighting with the Empire. Would have been a kind of cool like Han versus Boba moment in the or even if Boba died because Han just adequately outgunned him. Yep. Would have been great. Not there. No, they kind of let Boba, one of the coolest characters they've ever brought in Star Wars that we thought was really cool, just kind of bloop, All right.
Don't need them anymore for the story. Gone.
I have one more comment, one more question. Trilogy obviously was not planned. First one was supposed to be the first one. Sister wasn't supposed to be a sister, but it was planned once the fifth one or
The second one definitely had a second
episode
one.
5. Like once that movie, we're
Empire
planned.
Strikes Back, there was a movie coming. You know.
All right, well, last question. Spin-off movies. Does it hurt or help the original trilogy?
I think it helps. Like Rogue One,
Yep.
I think that's fantastic. Like, I want to know how, like, perspectively wise, it makes me feel a little bit validating watching these movies because it does add some of that back, which I think that's what keeps these movies livable and keep on living on.
Yeah.
I said if they didn't do that, these movies I don't think would be as pro-ass as they are today in the world.
And I actually
They would have fell off.
I really
if they didn't have
appreciate
those.
Solo more watching these films.
Yeah.
Like just the little tidbits and nods. And they didn't have to do either one of those films. And I think Rogue One, they did a pretty good job, or we'll save it for part 3 or part 4, whatever we decide. And Solo, I think, did a good job too.
Yeah, those other films did a better job in the storytelling than these new trilogies. I think.
Yeah, it was a little more.
I think that's where a lot of people are like me right now.
Consistent.
I don't want the Skywalker story.
Skywalker saga.
It was buttoned up in the first 6.
Should have not been in the third.
Should have not been in the third one.
Except for The Last Jedi. I did like that, but they didn't really need to tie into it.
Yeah.
All right, any more thoughts on Star Wars? We gotta wrap it up. We're at the 2-hour mark.
No mas. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I don't have much more. All right. Everyone, thanks for listening. It's been 2 hours. It's been a long time.
This one's been a long one. Yeah. Oh, well, you know.
But we're excited. We're just excited to talk Star Wars. I don't know if this one's probably not, or this one's coming out late August.
But then we have
part
Ahsoka.
3. We got part 4. That's probably coming out after Ahsoka because we're excited for Ahsoka.
Yeah, we'll get to Ahsoka probably before we get.
Also, it's weird to think that Ahsoka was like alive during this time.
Yeah, that's where the movie's kind of like. That's why I said the movies are way too very focused on the Skywalkers. If they do movies, they got to do something else.
I wish the scope was a little
something
bigger.
else that redeems the Jedi.
Please.
To be the light. That'd be sweet.
Grey Jedi, Ahsoka, the original.
Or do something about Yoda.
All right. Tell us what you think. What is your ratings for Don't Evolve Me? Please tell me on the Facebook page, on the now X
2+
page. You can tell me on Instagram. I do Don't Evolve Me TikToks now. I do videos, do ratings there. At some point, these Star Wars films are getting reviewed on TikTok. Probably now for a few months. I still got to do all the MCU. I'm on Phase 2 currently. That's going to take fucking forever, especially once you get to Phase 4, Phase 5, because I'm doing television shows as well. But yeah.
And then there's me. I can always promote my good stuff I'm doing, and I work. Just kidding.
All right. We are out.